Thomas the Tank Engine is my freaking childhood. Based on the books by Rev W. Awdry, Thomas is a small shunting engine who usually runs a small commuter route with his two coaches, Annie and Clarabelle, on the island of Sodor. Thomas works with the other engines, Percy, James, Gordon, Toby, some other guy, and Henry. Henry! Yeah, out of all the trains, I think Henry was my favorite. Poor guy couldn't catch a break. Thomas dominated my childhood. I don't think I asked for anything other than a Thomas the Tank Engine birthday until I was like 8 years old. And I'm sure my parents appreciated the predictability. I grew up on the 1984 version, which was narrated by Richard Starkey, who I don't think did anything else famous.
Wake up, lazy bones, do some hard work for a change. You can't catch me.
As well as by George Carlin.
Instead of going to sleep again, Gordon thought how he could get back at Thomas.
Yes, that George Carlin. Don't look him up, kids. Not until you're older.
And I'm getting really sick of guys named Todd.
The original series was made using model train sets given interchangeable faceplates and some small figures that were placed and moved around. Its animation was so limited it almost makes Rankin Bass look like his avatar. But I love this stuff though. Every engine is instantly recognizable, the sets are spectacularly well detailed, and I don't know what sorts of tricks they're using to make the engines seem larger than life, but the effects hold up really well. And they're still making new Thomas the Train episodes even today, even though I must say Thomas is looking quite smug in some of this artwork.
Hey, never gave nothing to me. Every time I turn around, cats got their heads out, wanting something from me.
The episodes typically involve Thomas or one of the other engines dealing with a problem, either one that presents itself or one generated by their own bad attitudes. The only character who could actually be considered an out-and-out villain is Diesel, a revolutionary engine who is very proud of the fact that he is made of the latest technology. Well, at least as far as 1950s technology was concerned. The stories are meant to emphasize that he's not all he's cracked up to be, though. Yeah, Awdry was known for not liking diesel engines very much. And in fact, even in today's Thomas, they've made a sort of Freddy Krueger-esque diesel engine complete with a nasty claw arm called Diesel 10. While the show was usually pretty tame, there are actually some surprisingly intense episodes. The one I remember the most as a kid was an episode called The Flying Kipper, where Henry gets into a terrible accident.
Oh my God!
The accident was so bad that the poor guy had to have open boiler surgery in order to get him working again. It actually wound up working for the best, though, because previously he'd had to run on a very expensive kind of coal just to compete with the other engines. Thomas episodes are still being made, though they have naturally switched it up from live-action models to full 3D animation. I admit that the sight of the engines moving their faces and talking on their own...
Big engines like me don't fetch their own coaches.
And singing...
Please, sir, I beg you, I just have to know. Will you, won't you take me to the railway show?
Was a bit jarring at first, but once you get into more of the regular episodes rather than the movies, you still get the feel of the pacing and the narration, which, for the most part, is spot on to the original, even if the faces they make while whistling look like they're trying to crank out a mean fart. Thomas the Tank Engine is a classic for a reason. It's a series of good, clean fun, teaching lessons of responsibility and dealing with accidents, among others, and there's a reason it has so many imitators and has spawned such a following. And with that out of the way, I can finally get to the review proper. Mattel has sent me their latest Thomas the Tank Engine masterpiece, the Thomas & Friends Super Train Station. The idea behind the Super Station is universal compatibility. This toy has been designed to work with every Thomas the Train currently out on the market. It can do the classic wooden trains, or the newer Trackmaster trains, the Thomas Adventures, and even the little miniature collectible trains that they've been putting out for the past couple years. The set itself is designed to resemble Tidmouth Sheds, the place where the steam engines go to rest every night. There are lots of places to put the engines, as well as a helipad for Harold and Cranky the Crane. In the center is an operating turntable complete with a stop lever for the Trackmaster system. The Trackmaster series are a line of motorized engines which Mattel has been putting out pretty much since the beginning when they got the Thomas the Tank Engine license in order to be a sort of cheaper replacement for the classic wooden lines. Now, like I said before, the theme of this set is universal compatibility, which actually touches on my experiences as a kid, because as a kid, I collected both the wooden trains and the metal trains, and I always lamented how my metal trains didn't work on the wooden track. So the idea of producing something that works with every kind of Thomas train out there really makes me excited. The way they've done this is with the track design. While it does resemble the Trackmaster quite a bit down to how its connector is built, what it does is, in order to make it so that every train works on it, rather than 2 rails on the side, it has one monorail going down the middle, which keeps the train centered and working. It works pretty well for the Trackmaster one and the Minis one, but maybe not so well for the Thomas and Friends Adventures. Now, as for the wooden one, the wooden character they included was actually a plastic Harold the Helicopter, so in order to test the wooden engines, I had to use a competing brand. But yeah, they work really well. Trackmaster and wood are definitely the things that were designed to work with these, and they also have special connectors that allow you to connect them to the regular track, which is really nice because wooden track has been standardized for decades and comes dirt cheap. That universality, I think, is probably this thing's best selling point. You don't have to panic over which Thomas the Trains that your kid has collected, because this thing is designed to work with everything and even connect to the other track. So for $100, it's actually a pretty good buy, and this isn't even this thing's biggest configuration. This is. The Superstation, in its biggest form, is actually sort of an impromptu train table with several legs based on various locations such as the mines, the diesel works, and the docks, all designed to prop it up and allow you to support some special racing ramps as well as some larger tracks. I mean, it might as well be a table. It's certainly too big to fit on mine. The set comes with a pretty fat stack of track as well, and you can make all sorts of cool layouts with what is included, including the various ramps which use a universal modular design. It's also directly compatible with Trackmaster through its connectors. So that's a look at the Thomas Superstation, a super enormous toy, that's for certain, and the fact that it is both huge and works with every Thomas the Tank Engine toy means that it would be a sight under any Christmas tree for any Thomas fan out there. So this is definitely going to be a high quality Christmas gift this year. And at $100, you just get so much that this thing can do. I honestly hope that they do more with this universal track system, because anything that makes this sort of universal appeal for any kind of Thomas train so that parents don't have to worry about what their kid has and if it'll work together or not is just such a fantastic idea, and I hope they really capitalize on it. So we'll see how that goes, but until next time, this is the Thomas and Friends Superstation by Mattel, and this is Kohdok signing off. I think I might be stuck in here.